Welcome to Mental as Anyone. We're kicking off season 2.
You can't agonise over every decision thinking, well, if I do this, it's going to make someone unhappy, because that is paralysing.
We'll explore social media's impact on mental health, the highs and lows of life in the spotlight, and the remarkable strength it takes to push forward when life feels overwhelming.
For me, a big distinction over the last couple of years is knowing when something is a me thing and knowing when something is a them thing. When someone says something horrific about you and they don't know you and there's no qualification for why, it's obviously about you.
So join me as we learn together that we are mental as anyone.
My body, I need a whole new body. my body's stuff.
Not only is BYD bringing this series to life, they are the pioneers bringing Australia's first plug-in hybrid ute, the BYD Shark 6, which is almost here. It's where luxury meets high-tech toughness, where adventure meets the road, and where you can experience 0 to 100 kilometres an hour in just 5.7 seconds. Terrain-specific modes such as sand, mud and snow, innovative dual-mode off-road technology, superior ride quality thanks to coil-sprung independent rear suspension, and even more new safety features that you've come to expect from BYD. Mark your calendars and find out more in show notes. Life is full of challenges and our mental fitness is key to navigating them. That's why we're so proud of our sponsor Chemist Warehouse and their unwavering support. They're committed to achieving the ultimate goal of zero suicides. Since 2017, Chemist Warehouse has been a major supporter. They've donated 5% of sales from selected brands and proceeds from the mateship wristbands to fund life-saving workshops and resources. They're focused on spreading hope and opening important conversations around mental health. Visit Chemist Warehouse and help support these vital initiatives. Together, we can make a difference. Coffee powers my brain, which is why I'm excited Victoria now powers this show. Victoria Coffee has been roasting their beans locally since 1958, and as a third-generation Australian family business, they know how to get it just right. Whether sipping it during your morning routine or serving it to customers, their beans are roasted for maximum freshness right here in Australia. Visit victoriacoffee.com to discover their range and why I trust them to kickstart my day. Find out more in the show notes. This woman is one of the most famous names in Australia and needs very little introduction, but she's had an extraordinary career. Doesn't do a lot of interviews about herself.
I know.
Jackie O.
Hey, J.Mo, how are you?
Thank you for coming on Mental as Anyone. I'm good. I'm feeling a little bit fragile today. We were just talking,
I know.
Not for any particular reason, just life sometimes feels a bit much.
It feels heavy and you wake up like that and you don't know why. And sometimes it's worse when you don't know why.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I just think it's been a few weeks of just crazy stuff, or maybe it's a full moon coming. I don't know.
I saw a meme the other day that said the full moon is sick of everybody blaming their issues on it. And I get it. I blame mine too when I see it's a full moon. I'm like, oh, that's why. It's the full moon's fault.
Imagine the shoulders on that full moon.
I know. Oh my God, I hope it has a little bit of self-love left after us all hating on it.
How are you feeling?
I feel fine. Yeah. I mean, you have good days and bad days. We all do. Yeah. Some days we feel fragile and some days we feel strong.
You've made some pretty brave moves. Majorly brave move the last couple of weeks. Releasing the whole truth.
Yeah.
Extraordinary. I knew the book was coming, but I didn't see it where it was going to go.
Yeah. I think people just brushed off the title because I did think, are people thinking, what is the whole truth? Like, I think a lot of people thought they might have known everything just because I'm on radio every day talking about my life. But obviously there are, J.Mo, that even though I share, I still am private about so I struggle to sometimes share a lot of my private life. So by doing this, it was really interesting to do because it was very cathartic. I'm glad I did it. I think it's really important to share things that you're ashamed of. I think that is number one, and to destigmatize a lot of these things that I talk about in the book, because I think it encourages other people to not feel ashamed also. And I just think that's key. Shame is an awful thing and it grows the more you hide it. So I'm really glad I did it, even though I felt vulnerable and fragile and nervous about doing it.
Do you feel that now, or is it just an overwhelming sense of relief?
No, I don't. I'm glad I did it. I think in terms of relief, No, I think the relief came when I was writing it. Because when you're writing it, you're imagining people reading it and you're imagining the reaction, and you visualize good and bad. And so by the time the book came out and by the time I shared it, I'd already processed that and almost released it. So I think the writing process was the relief. I think it's interesting because the day before I was going to announce it on air first, I thought I'd be a nervous wreck. And I wasn't. I was really, really calm and at peace with it. So I knew it was the right thing to do. But I think what I've loved the most since doing it is the connections I've made with people who are going through similar struggles. And I think that's really one of the key reasons why I wanted to share it, because I did want to work in that field of rehabilitation. That was really important to me, and something that I have a real desire to do. And I couldn't do that unless I shared my story. And so I think I can just feel that it feels so right sharing with others and connecting with others, because, I just, the stories I hear, so many people are in the same situation. People you'd never realize, working people, executives, mums, dads, they're all out there. You just have no idea what they're going through behind closed doors.
Your life's perfect.
Yeah, well, on Instagram it is.
Your life's perfect, and you've got the perfect career. You've got millions of bucks in the bank. You live in a gorgeous house. You've got a beautiful daughter who's healthy, and great friends like Gemma, and do some things that are really fulfilling. But the point of this podcast is that we're all mental, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's been so much of my I guess childhood, whether you want to call certain traumas, whatever that may be, that has been buried through my addiction. And I think I was able to numb that for a good period, especially during that separation. And when I came out of that and was sober, I had to then really look at myself and start to process things and address the mental health side. Because when I didn't have alcohol or pills to take that away, that feeling, I was left with it. And I realized just how much that needed addressing. And I think my mental health in many ways has been worked on and built up stronger, but it's been so much harder because I just don't have that escape anymore, and you can only use that escape for I guess as long as you survive it. But at some stage when you stop, you kind of have to address like what's going on underneath with your mental health. And that is such a sometimes long work in progress.
And what did you find when you peeled back those layers? Depression, trauma,
a lot of defectiveness and lack of self-love, and respect and value. It's funny because when I first started therapy, my therapist said, because I do a thing called schema therapy, which it talks, they go over your childhood and then they let you know, do you have there's about 10 or 12 of them. And they're things like abandonment schema or defectiveness or, whether you are a perfectionist. There's all sorts of ones, right, based on your childhood. And she said to me, you have the defectiveness schema, which means you don't think you're good enough. And I said, that's not true. I was looking at myself, I have a good job. I know I am good enough. And she goes, no, underneath it all. And it took me about a year to realize that was that was the strongest thing I had, was no self-worth, no self-love, or underneath it all. Because, you might think self-love equates to maybe self-esteem. Self-esteem is, I think, based on external factors a lot of the time, like your job, maybe what you look like, maybe how popular you are. Like all these things determine my self-esteem. But take away all of those external factors. Who are you underneath it? How much do you value yourself? Who are you, And I realized I didn't have that. And that's been the hardest thing for me, is to even understand, how do you start to love yourself? What do you do?
Where did that come from? Because I have a similar thing, and I don't verbalize it as well as you have, but where did that come from? Was that a abandonment thing as a kid? Was that something that happened to you as a teenager? Was that?
I think a lot of importance, and again, I don't like to blame a parent, because I think a parent always does the best they can. And when you inherit a schema like defectiveness from a parent, it's usually because they've also suffered from it. So my mum, God love her, she is the most beautiful mum. However, she did place so much importance on my external appearances, and so I connected that with, I'm loved if I look a certain way, or if I'm popular, or if I have the good looking boyfriend, and I equated that with, that's my worth. And I asked Mum about it many years later, like recently, and I said, Mum, why do you put down my appearance, or why are you so tough on it? And she talked about her childhood and the things she didn't have, and how she just wants the best for me. She was doing the best she could, but in doing that, it was just a constant chipping away at me of, who you are as a person isn't important. It's all the external stuff. And that's where I placed all of my importance and equated that with love. And when you take that away, all those things, do you actually have any self-worth? No, I didn't. But yeah, that's what it really stems back to.
Then you're a person in the public eye that's on television, that's on radio, that's one of the most high-profile personalities that we have in media in Australia. Everyone wants to know about your weight. They want to know about your hair. They want to know all sorts of things about your personal life.
Yeah, it's no coincidence I fell into this, because it's where I saw self-worth. And so I entered a profession that was only going to exasperate that problem and compound it, because now suddenly it's not just one person, it's the country, who now also place value in me on what I look like and what my weight is. And so that grew and grew. And obviously with that, the self-love kept diminishing and growing smaller. And I didn't recognize any of this during it all, it's only something I've been able to understand now. And so I think I grew a pretty thick skin through it all. And I got to a point where I didn't let it affect me, probably because I didn't read half of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I certainly did choose the wrong profession for that schema.
Fascinating. And so how do you compartmentalize that now? Because I see myself as a work in progress, and I am very hard on myself and all of these things. And even though I'm aware of it, it's still a constant thing for me to go, right, that is, looking in the mirror there, you're not fat, you're not ugly, you're not these things, put that aside. So what do you do now when you're like, hey, I'm not feeling the best, and someone's making a comment about what I'm wearing, or that this doesn't look right, or...
Well, first of all, I'm sorry you feel like that. And I hate that, because I think so many of us do feel that way. We're so hard on ourselves. And I think in terms of it, when that comes up, it's really about reprogramming your brain from years and years of self-abuse, of internal, the critical talker who's constantly saying, you look fat, you look ugly. Why would anyone pick you? Why would anyone love you? We have to reprogram years and years of that being ingrained into our brains. And that takes time and practice, which is why this stuff is such a long work in progress, because whilst you can make 2 steps forward, the next day it's 2 steps backwards, and something triggers that. And again, the inner critic is going crazy. And it's really just about constantly rationalizing over the top of that criticism, that internal criticism, by saying, hang on, this isn't, you are beautiful. You've got to look at all the positives and who you are as a person. We're so much more than what we look like in the mirror, because it's with social media, and it's made it so much worse. We're always comparing our lives to other people. We're always comparing, that they're on vacation, they're richer than I am, they're prettier than I am, they're more popular than I am. And that just makes us feel shitty. On a bad day, it makes us feel even worse. And And I think, yeah, it takes a long time to kind of quieten down that internal dialogue that's harming us in so many ways.
Does it still play out in your mind?
Oh,
Grant
yeah.
Denyer was on Mental as Anyone, and he doesn't like looking in the mirror.
Yeah. I try to look in the mirror and not see the flaws. It's hard. I do, because I've had that for so long. But I'm really trying to just see the beauty in me. And yeah, that takes practice, J.Mo. It really does. Like, that doesn't come naturally to people who have felt that way for so long.
You want to do it for your daughter too, though, don't you?
Oh, I'm so mindful about how I talk in front of my daughter and what I say to my daughter, because I don't want her to have the same thing that I have. Like, it's so unhealthy and damaging. So yes, I absolutely want her to grow up with a positive sense of self. But I can see, it creeps in so quickly when she's 13 and a girl, and it's so easy for that way of just always putting yourself down. It just creeps in so quickly. It's concerning.
Being so public with this stuff for someone who's so public but not about their private stuff, has that been challenging? And the sense that, for me, for example, I gave up alcohol years ago. I gave up drugs, so I don't do cocaine. I don't do any of the party drugs anymore. I loved, I wasn't really addicted to prescription meds, but I loved it when you could get the,
codeine?
Nurofen Plus or
Over the
something.
counter, yeah,
and I used to
Nurofen
shop
Plus.
around to the different
Oh,
places.
you did too?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Loved it.
wow,
Can I get 2 packets, please? Yeah,
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah, and they used to sell them in packs of like 50.
Yeah.
And you could just buy them off the you didn't even have to ask for them.
Yeah, and now if I go to the doctor, I want to get some Valium for
Yeah.
to last me for 6 months, and you get 10. You're like, oh
yeah.
shit.
Where's the rest?
Where's the rest? That's for one trip.
Yeah.
One flight there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what I was saying.
Well, it sucks that I can't take any of that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Just because, like, every now and again you think, oh, it'd be nice to take a sleeping pill on a flight, for genuine reasons. But yeah, knowing that you can't ever do that again.
Was there a fear that you bringing this out so publicly? What if you fell over?
Yeah. Like, that's why I wanted to wait until I felt I was sturdy enough and strong enough to know that my sobriety wasn't still on shaky ground. And don't get me wrong, you always have to treat it like it is, because it just never goes away. But I was very mindful not to come out too soon with it, because I think recovery is something that, it can worsen when you've got all eyes on you. That kind of pressure, judgment, you're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for other people. And yeah, so it was, but I feel fine about it now. Like, I love being sober. My life is so much better being sober. I can't imagine ever wanting to go back there. There are times when we're overseas and people crack open the champagne, and yes, I want one, but it's fleeting, and it's fleeting enough to not be an issue at this point.
For me, I have fallen off the wagon in those years. I've never gone back to cocaine.
Yeah.
Never.
And why is that? Because it send
destroyed
you
my soul.
Yeah.
And what I did was I'd be out at King's Cross in Sydney, and one thing would lead to another. I'd have a few drinks, a few more. I wouldn't stop. And then someone would offer me a line of Coke, and then I'd be 3 bags deep.
Yep.
Fine. I'm not ashamed to say that, because, it is a fact.
Yeah.
But afterwards, I was destroyed, and my mental health just depleted. And I spent a fortune on medicine, antidepressants, other medicines, doctor appointments, psychiatrists, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
What am I doing that for if I'm going to fucking destroy myself?
Yeah.
And, there was a really lonely moment for me once, and I recall I'm actually writing my book at the moment, and I was on the street, on William Street in King's Cross with a homeless person.
Yeah.
Trying to party with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And buying us drugs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you really you do go down the pits of despair, really, when you're in the thick of it, and you become a person that you don't recognize, and you do things that you would never think you would do. And I'm so glad you were able to. Did you just stop
I just
yourself?
stopped. I just stopped. But I've fallen off slightly with alcohol once or twice.
And does it become
and it feels
like
awful, and the shame afterwards
oh yeah,
is so bad. And I haven't done anything bad, but the guilt and the fear, I call it, and that has been really difficult. Like the next day, because I drink until I vomit, and then
but do you just doing that like for one night and then you stop?
Yeah.
You really, I know the shame is awful, but you shouldn't beat yourself up too much over that.
I can't. But I also am very public about it in a way to also hold myself to account.
Yeah.
It makes it probably easier in a way.
Yeah.
People haven't, it's only recently that people have started to understand that I don't drink.
Oh yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, when I hadn't come out just telling people I don't drink without a reason, they just keep wanting you to drink, they just, so what do you mean you don't drink? Eventually they accepted it, but it does take a while for people to accept that you're not a drinker. And you really want to say to them, oh, don't worry, I'm still fun, know, like, because you feel like, are they going to just not invite me anywhere because I don't drink? Yeah, there was that fear as well. I went
to a gig on the weekend, and the bar person was lovely, and I ordered a lemon, lime and bitters.
Yeah.
And she kind of looked at me and she said, "Is that all?" She literally said, "Is that all? Do you want alcohol?"
Sometimes they just give it to you for free.
Do you want alcohol in it? Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They want alcohol in it. And I'm like, no. I actually said I'm an alcoholic, which I'm not. I don't think I am, but maybe I am. I don't know. It doesn't matter. And but I was like, yeah, no, I can't. I just don't.
And that was enough to like.
And she was like, oh.
Yeah. How long's it been now?
I always say 8 years, but probably 10 years, maybe 7 years, maybe 6 years. I don't know.
Oh, that's amazing. Good on you.
Did you abuse anything else? Because I abused food. I abused everything.
I think food, yes. That's why I put on quite a bit of weight during that time. Food for sure. And just the alcohol and pills. There was nothing else. I've never been into party drugs or tried party drugs actually. And that the only reason is because I had a panic attack from weed early on. So otherwise I probably would have been a massive cokehead, who knows? Because I've got this addiction gene, and it's very addictive. I mean, I'm still a smoker. People often ask me, why didn't you give up smoking if you've given up everything? Or why didn't they make you stop smoking in rehab? Because that's addictive. But their philosophy is if it's not kind of affecting your everyday life in a disruptive way where you can't control what's happening in your life, then, that's the stuff that needs to be addressed.
Sometimes
it's a vice.
The better of two
yeah,
evils,
I know.
Right?
It's my one last vice, and coffee. I'm okay with that for now.
Yeah. How dark was dark? I think you said something about, and I've read through the book. I haven't read it from cover to cover yet, but there was a point, like how dark was dark? It was the dealer being caught by police or something.
How dark was dark?
What forced that moment?
Oh yeah, the person who was supplying me the prescription medication had been caught, and that just sort of made me think, what the fuck am I going to do? Sorry, I'm allowed to swear.
Yeah.
What am I going to do now? Where am I going to get this? And yes, I could have asked around, but the shame was too great. I'd rather have gone to rehab and fix the situation than dare tell anyone what I'd been doing. I could have asked people I knew, do you know of anyone who's got this stuff? But then I would have had to have told them what I was doing, and I just couldn't even face the idea of that. So finding someone else was not an option for me. This person who gave me the medication literally crossed my path and offered it, said, oh, if you ever need this stuff. And that's it. And so after they were caught, I thought, well, that's it. Gig's up. I have to address this. And I think there must have been a big part of me that wanted to, even though I was telling myself I didn't and had no intention of. I think deep down I clearly was exhausted from it, because it was just a really awful existence, to be honest. It was really just isolated. There was no life. It's like I may as well have been in a coma practically.
When this happened, all of the media, including myself, were, dissecting it and trying to analyze it and work out what it meant. And she took that much prescription medication. One doctor said, you're lucky to be alive.
Yeah, I am. I mean, that's a lot of sleeping pills just for a start. A lot of people think, how did she even function? My body just built up a tolerance to them. So I may as well have been taking 1 or 2 with the way they were affecting me. The 10 just wasn't. I think it was honestly just bringing my body to an even keel in a way. But when you look at the actual medication that I was taking, I don't know how I survived that. That's just an awful lot for the body to take.
And you're petite.
And I'm petite, yeah. So it's, it's crazy. It really is.
Do you feel lucky to be alive?
I do. I really feel like someone was watching over me. They must have been, because, I was just abusing myself so much, abusing that body, and how it held up, I have no idea.
Do you worry at all about any of the ongoing medical stuff? Have you had all that checked out?
I did. When you go into rehab, they check all of that, your organs, everything. And I was so grateful that my body kept fighting, because I didn't have, even they said, it's crazy that you don't have any damage done to your liver for a start.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And I just was so grateful for my body fighting against all of that and holding up okay. So it was a miracle, really, that I didn't do an extreme amount of damage.
You need to live another 50 years for Kitty.
Yeah, exactly.
7-Eleven.
7-Eleven.
What does that mean?
Well, my favorite number is 11 and hers is 7. And every time it is 7-Eleven on the clock, if we're not together, we message each other saying, I love you. And so it's just our way of saying, I love you.
It's a little code. That's in the book if you haven't read it yet, but there's a couple of times.
Oh, you noticed
mentioned.
that. That's so cute.
Yeah. Where's your self-love out today? It's a work in progress, but you're feeling pretty good?
Yeah, I actually do. When I started on the journey of self-love, going, okay, let's try this. What do we do here? I mean, I was literally Googling, what do you do to love yourself? I didn't even know where to begin. So I started with affirmations. That didn't work. That was useless, because I didn't even believe it looking in the mirror. And then I was like, what else do I do? Then they said self-care, go for a walk. All these things weren't working. And what I kind of eventually found, where I really noticed the shift inside of me, was when I started to put up boundaries and not be such a people pleaser. Because what I didn't realize, honestly, I thought if you're a people pleaser, that just means you're a nice person. That just means you're kind. But actually, you're not being kind to yourself at all. And if you're in a friendship, a career, or a relationship where you're putting your needs last and everybody else's first, and honestly, most people would look at people like that and think they're a saint, but you are doing yourself such a disservice. And that's not something I realized until within the last 8 months, to be honest. So I started putting up boundaries. I started treating myself how I would the person I loved most in the world. So my daughter, if I saw someone was taking advantage of her, you can be sure I will be standing up for her and protecting her. And so I had to look at the way I would treat my daughter as a way I needed to now start treating myself. So every time I felt, this isn't fair to you, Jackie, this person's being narcissistic towards you, or this person's taking advantage, I would have an uncomfortable conversation, a conversation I didn't want to have. But every time I did that, it got A, resolved, and B, I started to feel, a bit of a shift inside of me. And with that, over time came a sense of peace. So I feel like my body has always been in a little bit of a fight or flight mode without even realizing. There's been an underlying anxiousness where I can't just sit and look at nature and be content. My mind's racing, my body's not, calm.
Amen. Yeah.
And so when I started to do this act of self-love by treating myself how I would treat my daughter, that's when I noticed things beginning to change within my body. And so, yeah, I'm at a place where, again, I'm working hard on it all the time, but I am in a much better place than I have ever been.
How often are you seeing your psychologist, your counsellor?
I see her once a week.
Is it Queen Anita?
Oh, so she was the one in rehab, and she was amazing. But I see a therapist now who's incredible, Dr. Justine Corey. She's taught me so much. But I think with therapy, I truly believe that if you're seeking therapy, you can't just expect an appointment once a week or once a fortnight is going to do much.
No.
You need to do a lot of work in between those appointments. And I would stay at home every night doing that work. I was so dedicated to it. I was reading all about psychology, all about our central nervous system, and I was journaling and really making discoveries about myself. But I put in a lot, hours and hours and hours of this stuff over the last 2 years.
There was a beautiful bit at the end of the book. And obviously you spoke about the addiction that came after your breakdown of your marriage and things like that. But there was a beautiful acknowledgement of Lee.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I always treasure the years we shared. You're an incredible father. I'm so proud of the daughter we are raising together. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Lee's just a wonderful man, a wonderful father. We broke down in our communication and we did everything wrong. And we didn't know a lot of this stuff we were 24 going into that relationship. And I wished I knew then what I know now, because I think things could have been very different. But I have a lot of respect for Lee, and we co-parent really well, and we have a really good friendship.
I know it's a bit boring to you, but with the self-love, with the fact that you've been so honest, the whole truth is out there and you're in a much better space. Do you see yourself finding love in the future? You've said, I think we spoke about something and you're like, oh yeah, finally I'm ready to be a little bit datey or whatever, go out with some girlfriends and have some fun there. But I think that the truth?
Yeah. So the truth is when, and this is how you know, I think, that you are giving yourself that self-love, because when you finally get there, you are genuinely happy and there's no void missing where you are yearning for that love externally, because you're now giving it to yourself. And it really is so true what they say, that when you find that happiness within and you feel that with your own self-love, you no longer need it externally. Now, everyone loves connection and we're meant to connect and partner with people. So of course I want that, but I don't need it like I did before. And so I'm not actively dating and I don't go out with my girlfriends anymore and scan the room. So things like that have all gone away because I don't really, I don't have anything missing anymore. I think someone will genuinely walk in my path one day, and I'm okay if that's 5 years from now or if it's 5 months from now. I'm really calm about it. So I think that when that's meant to be, that will happen. And no, I don't feel the need to search for it any longer.
Before we finish, there's a couple of final things I want to ask. The book being called The Whole Truth.
Yeah.
Was there anything you chose to leave out?
No. There really
and if
wasn't.
there was, why? There must have been something that you're like, oh, I don't want to, I want to protect that person.
I reckon there would have been like maybe in terms of the significant things in my life that have happened, there might have been 0.5%, a teeny tiny thing or two. But I think everything I have really served up that I wouldn't have thought I would. And that's probably why I never really wanted to do a biography in the past, for that very reason. But I have always been adamant that when I do a biography, don't do it unless you're prepared to share all of that, because the biographies I enjoy and appreciate are the ones where they do. And I just never wanted to do it unless I was ready to really kind of do all of me. Maybe that's what I should have called it. all of me. It's probably been done before. Yeah.
Yeah. Finally, you said early in this conversation that you want to work in the field of rehabilitation.
Yeah.
So you're working with Gemma, your bestie and business partner and just all-round legend. What does that look like?
With Gemma and I, or
No,
rehab?
just working in the field
Oh.
of rehabilitation. Is that like doing counselling yourself, getting a degree in counselling? Is that more of the work that you're doing with your listeners and your fans and all of that?
So, no, yeah, obviously I love that people would contact me personally on Instagram. That's one thing, obviously, and I'll always be there for those people. But separate to that, Odyssey House is who I have decided to do work with because I do really value their program. It's 3 months that you are there and you're starting to kind of work within a community and building up skills to go out into the workforce. And it's for people who are financially struggling. I want to work with them on site. What that looks like, I'm yet to find out. I'm about to go and visit them soon, and I'm looking forward to that. I would like, I would love to do counseling and study that. I've got such an interest in psychology, mental health, and rehabilitation that I can see myself going down that path and studying it. It's because it's such early days in terms of just a couple of weeks of sharing this and being able to now openly explore that avenue. It's too early to know exactly what that looks like. And then obviously my pie in the sky is like one day opening my own. But I'm painfully aware.
Clinic, own rehab centre.
Yes, and my own rehab centre. But obviously I've already kind of done preliminary exploration on that, and there's just a lot of red tape, as you can imagine. And so that's something that would be very long term down the track. But absolutely want to work in that field in some way.
It's funny how you want to dedicate your life to the space now because you've learned so many lessons.
Well, I mean, I think that's why I know that's why I did the book, so that I could work. I just knew when I was in rehab, I just knew I had to do this. I had to work in that. I just wanted to. I really, I just got a different perspective on people and the human behavior and the stories behind addiction. I honestly just didn't understand it before and didn't understand. I just thought it was, people who try drugs and then they've got no willpower, they just keep going.
Yeah.
But it's so not that. And it humanized it for me. And I could see where all the trauma comes from with people who are in addictions. And, it's so it's like they're lost. And I really empathized and connected with that. And so I guess it just became something that my heart was drawn to.
To finish up, I always finish with, on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being outstanding, 0 being shit, where are you right now on a mental health scale of mental as anyone?
So 10 being amazing. I would say a 7. Yeah. I'm pretty good most days. Some days I'll be a 4. I don't think I'm right at the bottom, thankfully. But yeah, it goes up and down. But I would say a steady 7, some days 8. I know. How about you today?
Today I'm probably a 5.5, 6.
I'm sorry.
Which is not too bad though.
Yeah.
But I feel better after speaking to you, actually. I feel like having these conversations.
Yeah.
So I'm probably lifted myself up closer to a 7.
Oh, I love
because
that.
I feel, there's strength in sharing this.
Absolutely, there is. It's so important to share because it does. I feel talking to anyone, a good friend, about any of this just elevates you up an extra couple of points.
Yeah. And it's nice to know that we are all cliched, mental as anyone.
Yep. Ain't that the truth?
Jackie O, thank you for joining us on this podcast. We really appreciate you sharing your story.
Thanks, honey. Thank you for having me.
Not only is BYD bringing this series to life, they're the pioneers bringing Australia's first plug-in hybrid ute, the BYD Shark 6. It's where luxury meets high-tech toughness, where adventure meets the road, and where you can experience 0 to 100 k's an hour in 5.7 seconds. Terrain-specific modes such as sand, mud, and snow, innovative dual-mode off-road technology, superior ride quality thanks to coil-sprung independent rear suspension, and even more new safety features that you've come to expect from BYD. Test drive today and find out more in our show notes. This episode is sponsored by Chemist Warehouse, Australia's leader in health and wellness products. Whether you're looking for natural supplements, fitness essentials, or everyday healthcare, Chemist Warehouse has you covered at unbeatable prices. They're proud to support this podcast and help you take control of your health and well-being. Head to chemistwarehouse.com.au for the best selection of vitamins, wellness products, and more to keep you feeling your best. For more details, check out the show notes. This episode is brought to you by Vittoria Coffee, a third-generation Australian family business roasting coffee beans locally since 1958. It's why I make myself a fresh cup of Vittoria coffee just before every interview. Their beans are roasted right here in Australia and the flavour is unbeatable. Whether you're brewing at home or serving it up at a cafe, their rich, locally roasted beans always deliver the perfect start to your day. Check out vittoriacoffee.com and bring the taste of Australia's finest to your brew. Find out more in the show notes. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Mental as Anyone. There's been some heavy insights in there, but also some useful tools for all of us to move forward. If you want to be the first to hear new episodes, be sure to hit follow. And if you find yourself in need of support, links to Lifeline, Beyond Blue, and the Black Dog Institute are in the show notes below. See you later.